Scott John Hutchison, the 20th of November 1981, c. the 9th of May 2018, was a Scottish singer, songwriter, guitarist and artist. He was the founding member and primary songwriter of the indie rock band Frightened Rabbit, with whom he recorded 5 studio albums, and created the artwork for each release. Hutchison was also a member of the musical collective The Fruit Tree Foundation, and released one solo album under the moniker Owl John. His last musical project was the indie supergroup Master System, featuring Frightened Rabbit bandmate and brother Grant alongside members of Editors and Minor Victories. Hutchison studied illustration at the Glasgow School of Art, before forming Frightened Rabbit in 2003. Initially a solo project, Hutchison collaborated with his brother Grant on the band's debut album, Sing the Greys, 2006, and recorded the band's critical breakthrough, The Midnight Organ Fight, 2008, as a 3-piece. Following the collapse of a romantic relationship. Following the album's release, the band's fan base expanded significantly, and a third studio album, The Winter of Mixed Drinks, was released in 2010. Signing to Atlantic Records, the band released their 4th studio album, Pedestrian Verse, in 2013. The following year, Hutchison recorded a solo album as Owl John. In 2016, the band released their 5th studio album, Painting of a Panic Attack. Hutchison disappeared on the 9th of May 2018, and his body was found the following day on the banks of the Firth of Forth. Biography. Childhood and early life. Scott John Hutchison, described by his mother as a shy child, was born in Edinburgh and raised in the Scottish borders town of Selkirk, with his brother Grant. Moving to the city of Glasgow, he studied illustration at the Glasgow School of Art. I was there for 4 years and I didn't particularly want to be an illustrator, so I wanted to apply the rules that I learned to everything I do, in terms of working in a bank or writing music. While living in Glasgow, he worked in a specialist whiskey shop in the residential area of Hindland, noting, "I began to appreciate and admire the heritage of flavor in a dram of single malt." Initially considering himself solely a guitarist, Hutchison began singing at the age of 19, stating, "Up to that point I was just a guitar player. I didn't know I could sing, I had been told I couldn't." His early songwriting influences included such American artists as Ryan Adams, Wilco and Laura Cantrell, with Hutchison noting, "When I started writing songs, my references were these Americana acts. I could associate with those stories. And you can see American folk's deep connections with Scottish folk." Formation of Frightened Rabbit, Sing the Greys and the Midnight Organ Fight, 2003-2009. In 2003, Hutchison began performing under the name Frightened Rabbit, a name given to him by his mother to describe his once shy nature, and began recording and performing with his brother. The following year, the duo recorded the band's debut album, Sing the Greys, at the Diving Bell Lounge, with producer Marcus Mackay, and released it independently on local label, Hits the Fan, in 2006. The band signed soon after to Fat Cat Records. Joined by guitarist Billy Kennedy, the band reissued the album on their new label and began work on its follow-up, The Midnight Organ Fight, 2008, with producer Peter Cadiz, in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Influenced by the collapse of his relationship with his high school and college girlfriend Shel Jubin, the deeply personal album was released to widespread critical acclaim and increased the band's exposure significantly. Owl John was a solo musical project by Hutchison, formed in 2014. Regarding Owl John and his decision to release a solo record, Hutchison noted, "It was approximately 10 years ago that I started a band called Frightened Rabbit. In that time I've dedicated so much of my life to that good wee band with a stupid name, I felt it was time to indulge Owl John." Hutchison recorded the project's sole album, Owl John, 2014, alongside his Frightened Rabbit bandmate Andy Monaghan and the band's touring guitarist Simon Liddell. In January 2014, whilst touring in support of Frightened Rabbit's 4th studio album, Pedestrian Verse, 2013, Hutchison expressed his desire to record solo material without the band, stating, "The process has to be different, otherwise I'm just going to make a Frightened Rabbit sounding record, which I really don't want to do." The idea for a solo album stemmed from Frightened Rabbit's label, Atlantic Records. It was actually the idea of the label to make it rather than me. I thought we were going to get off tour and go straight back into writing another album, and the guy at the label knew things weren't really quite right. He basically was like, "We'll pay for this record. Go away, make a record and indulge yourself." The following month, work began on the album, On the Isle of Mull, with bandmate Andy Monahan producing, alongside Simon Liddell. Released on the 4th of August 2014, the self-titled album debuted at number 99 on the UK Albums Chart. Collaborations. The Fruit Tree Foundation. Hutchison wrote and recorded with the Fruit Tree Foundation, a collaborative project featuring Scottish indie rock and folk musicians. The resulting album, First Edition, was released in 2011. Regarding the experience, Hutchison stated, "It was really beautifully done. I thought it was such a great thing, and also personally, for me, that was my first taste of proper collaboration and it really changed my outlook on songwriting. Before, I was kind of like, yeah, I know how to write songs. I don't need anyone's help, and then, of course, you learn so much, so it changed my whole outlook, and I would love to get involved in that kind of thing again." The Birthday Suit. Hutchison performed a guitar solo on the track, A Bigger World, by the indie rock band The Birthday Suit, and is featured in its accompanying music video. The song was the first single to be released from the band's third studio album, A Hollow Hole of Riches, 2014. Master System. Hutchison formed the indie supergroup in 2017 with his brother Grant, and the brothers, Justin and James Lockie, from Editors and Minor Victories respectively. The band released one album, Dance Music, in 2018. Oyster. Hutchison is credited for all of the artwork in Oyster, a book of poetry written by Edinburgh poet Michael Peterson. If and When We Wake. Hutchison is credited for all of the artwork in If and When We Wake, 2015, a book of poetry and art by Philadelphia poet Francis D'Alario. Hutchison contributed 12 drawings. Please Plant This Book. Hutchison is credited for all of the artwork in Please Plant This Book, 2018, a collection of poetry and art by Philadelphia poet Francis D'Alario. First released on bundles of heirloom seed packets and then re-released in a traditional chapbook format, the collection celebrates the 50th anniversary of the original collection by Richard Brautigan and benefits the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Hutchison contributed 9 drawings. Disappearance and death. Hutchison was reported missing by Scottish police and the members of Frightened Rabbit on the 9th of May 2018. Hutchison was last seen at 1 a.m. the 9th of May leaving a hotel in South Queensferry. Hutchison had tweeted, "Be so good to everyone you love. It's not a given. I'm so annoyed that it's not. I didn't live by that standard and it kills me. Please, hug your loved ones," followed by, "I'm away now. Thanks." Prior to his disappearance, his brother and bandmate Grant, on the band's official Twitter account, urged anyone with information on his whereabouts to contact Police Scotland. Given his fragile state. On the 10th of May, the Chief Inspector of Police Scotland reported that they were searching the area around the Forth Road Bridge for Hutchison, and were looking to contact 2 individuals who were spotted walking along the bridge the night he disappeared. Police discovered a body at 8:30 p.m. in the Port Edgar region near South Queensferry, and on the 11th of May confirmed it was that of Hutchison. No immediate cause of death was disclosed. Frightened Rabbit issued a statement following Hutchison's death, which read: "There are no words to describe the overwhelming sadness and pain that comes with the death of our beloved Scott, but to know he is no longer suffering brings us some comfort. Reading messages of support and hope from those he has helped through his art has helped immensely, and we encourage you all to continue doing this. He will be missed by all of us and his absence will always be felt, but he leaves a legacy of hope, kindness and color that will forever be remembered and shared. Several celebrities and musicians mourned Hutchison on social media on the day his body was discovered, including Stuart Murdoch, Joe Wiley, Gary Lightbody, Hayley Williams, Sarah Silverman, Jay Baruchel and Will Wagner. Nicola Sturgeon, the First Minister of Scotland, responded to Hutchison's death on Twitter, writing, "Heartbreaking news. My thoughts are with Scott's family, friends and fans. A remarkable and much-loved talent." Artists close to Scott who performed tributes to him include Frank Turner, The Twilight Sad, Manchester Orchestra, Craig Finn of the Hold Steady, Pause, Julian Baker and We Were Promised Jetpacks. Several albums released not long after his death were dedicated to him, including Death Cab for Cuties Thank You for Today, 2018, The Twilight Sad's It Won't Be Like This All the Time, 2019, and Idlewild's Interview Music, 2019. In May 2019, the Hutchison family established Tiny Changes, a mental health charity named after a lyric from the band's song Head Rolls Off, in memory of Scott. In July 2019, Atlantic Records released Tiny Changes, a celebration of Frightened Rabbits' The Midnight Organ Fight, an album featuring musician friends and colleagues of the band covering their 2008 album in full. It was supposed to be released in summer 2018 to mark the 10th anniversary of the Midnight Organ Fight, and Scott Hutchison was fully involved in the process and had approved the tracks included. In the run-up to the cover's album's release, the remaining members of the band gave several interviews, stating that the band does not exist without Scott. Discography listed here are Hutchison's work with Frightened Rabbit, and other collaborations. Frightened Rabbit. Sing the Greys, 2006. The Midnight Organ Fight, 2008. The Winter of Mixed Drinks, 2010. Pedestrian Verse, 2013. Painting of a Panic Attack, 2016. Master System Dance Music, 2018. Owl John, 2014. The Fruit Tree Foundation First Edition, 2011. New Branch, 2011. Select additional appearances: Fall Apart, Withered Hand, 2014. The Shine, Dave Hauser, 2013. A Bigger World, The Birthday Suit, 2013. References